and others. So is it okay to make a dua for the brother only with full sincerity, knowing that the angel will say Ameen to your prayer? Yes, it is okay, but the perfection is to make dua for yourself and for him. Like we said, when you make dua for yourself, your sincerity will be stronger. But it is allowed to make dua for someone else as well. Oh Allah, forgive him. Oh Allah, grant him Jannah. Oh Allah, make his business successful. Imagine, like I said, this is beautiful. Imagine society where the businessman prays for his competition to make his business successful. Imagine where that will lead you. What heights of Muslim unity, what heights of peace and tranquility will society come to? This is the beauty of Islam. And because of the dua for his competitors, Allah will bless his business as well. This is the beauty of it. Okay? But we said both is allowed. You can pray for yourself and him, or you can pray only for him. Are you allowed to make dua in the dark? Yes, you are. Having light is not one of the conditions of making dua. Doesn't Allah grant those things which are only good for us? Not necessarily. If you make dua for something sincerely, it is possible Allah will give it to you even though it might not be for your good. That is why when you make dua for something of this world, it is good to have a condition attached to it, if it is good for me. Oh Allah, give me this job if it is good for me. Oh Allah, give me this wife if she will be good for me. It is good to have a condition there. Obviously for the matters of the deen and for the matters of the akhirah, we all said there is no such thing as something good or bad. Everything is good. Oh Allah, forgive me, save me from the fire of hell, grant me Jannah. All of it is good. No conditions attached there. Should we raise our hands and say Ameen during Jum'ah when the Imam is making dua? In my opinion, it is preferable not to at this time, because we have nothing narrated from the Sahaba that they would do so. In a mosque where they make dua after every salah, should I join them? I don't join them, because in my opinion this is an innovation, so I leave my hands down and I do not join them. At the same time, you don't cause a scene and commotion. This is people don't understand this. You have to be wise and gentle in how you teach them. Don't just stand up and scream, this is a bid'ah, this is shirk, this is kufr. No, it's not shirk and kufr. Be wise about it. When you become a teacher, when you start teaching them, you teach them the sunnah. You tell them Islam is what the Prophet ﷺ did and not what we invent. We can invent a million things, but if we would do so, we're leaving the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. If you want to be gentle, for example, say, brothers, what you are doing, I don't know about this. Can you tell me where you found this act from? Turn the situation around. If there's a bid'ah, approach him in this manner. Brother, I don't know this act. This is something new to me. Can you tell me where this is in the Quran and Sunnah? He will not be able to tell you. Therefore, you can tell him, well, if it's not in the Quran and Sunnah, how come you're doing it? Therefore, it becomes an innovation for you. So, any more questions, or we will conclude? Inshallah. If Muslims have haram income and they offer food and clothes to you, what should you do? If someone has a haram income, it is haram for them, but it's not haram for you. Because if you were to do so, this is takalluf, this is going to extremes. If you own a shop, you do not have to ask the people that come in, where do they get their money from? You're assuming that it's halal for them. If it's haram, it's between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If someone has a small percentage of his money from haram, you can go to his house and eat, no problem. Because that is between him and Allah. Now if the majority of his money is from haram, for example, if he owns a liquor store, then all of his money is haram, then you know everything is haram. But if he owns, for example, a grocery store which sells liquor and wine, a small percentage of his money is haram. Therefore, the majority of his money is halal. Therefore, you can go and eat in his money and assume that this is from his halal portion. To do so is going to extremes in the religion. There is so few people that 100% of their money is halal. If you were to start asking and being picky about this, you're going to go to extremes. If a person earns haram money, then you don't have to ask him how he earned it. That's between him and Allah. Unless you know for a fact, this is a different thing. But in general, you don't have to go to extremes. Any person invites you, brother, where did you get this meat from? You assume he's a Muslim. You assume he's giving you halal meat. Unless you know for a fact that he is offering you haram meat or something, that's a different story.
Real example that once I visited a Muslim family and they asked me, we have a beer and we have this, and at the same time then they offer me food. Then definitely I have to ask them from where the meat is. Is it right or wrong?
If you are doubtful about if they eat dhabiha meat or not, and you only eat dhabiha meat, then you can ask them, is this meat halal, or is you just buy this from Kroger's or something? I don't eat that meat. That's not a problem, because in this case, some person might follow the opinion that that meat is not haram. For example, the meat here in the groceries. Whereas you follow it is haram. You're just asking him for his position, because you say, I don't eat that type of meat. This is a fiqh issue. But you're asking about where he earned his money from. This becomes takalluf, this becomes excessiveness. Where did you earn the money to buy this meat from?
They ask you for a drink and then they are offering you beer or liquor. So you are thirsty and they are asking you that. So the first thing immediately reflects you that there is something wrong going on in this home.
Yeah, if there's cause for suspicion, then yes. If there's cause for suspicion, then yes. But if there's no cause for suspicion, then you're going to takalluf. Also, we're straying from the topic with this. We want to stay with dua. Any more questions related to dua? Inshallah. Yeah. Is there any sunnah prayer before Asr? Yeah, after Dhuhr there is sunnah prayer. And before Asr as well there is sunnah prayer. So the Prophet will sometimes pray sunnah prayer 4 rak'ahs before Asr as well. Is it allowed to make dua where beer and liquor are served? Yes, it is allowed to make dua at those places, but I hope you're not. What are you doing there? I hope you're. I hope you're not drinking the weird wine, which is not going to make your dua very acceptable. But it is allowed to make dua in those places. Perhaps if the person phrased it properly, if you go to a restaurant and there's beer being served on other tables, does that prohibit me from sitting there? No, it does not. You can sit at your table and you can say Bismillah and say the du'as there. Because what is prohibited is to sit at the table where sharab is served and not necessarily at a place, even though obviously it is better to avoid that, but it is not haram to go there. It's a question about women traveling. Again, I don't want to get waiting. We're talking about dua here. My husband wants to get married to a second wife. I pray to Allah making dua not to put me in this trial. Basically, this is a question: can I make dua in this manner? Can I help him making dua or not getting married? Basically, the question is she's in a contradictory position where she's helping her husband find another wife and at the same time making dua. It doesn't happen. I don't see any problem, frankly. I don't see any problem if she makes dua that never happens. But if it does happen, then be patient. Praying for a parent who has died without accepting Islam. No, obviously, if a parent was not a Muslim, if a parent died as a kafir or a mushrik, then it is not allowed to pray, make dua for him, for anything. The Prophet ﷺ could not even pray for his parents, as we know. The Prophet ﷺ said, I asked Allah to allow me to visit my mother's grave, and He allowed me to do so. I asked Him to allow me to pray for her, and He did not allow me to do so. This is in Sahih Muslim. So the Prophet ﷺ could not even pray for his own parents. So the parents, if they die in the state of kufr, then you cannot make dua for them. With that, we will conclude inshallah and start after Maghrib, a short talk, and then we'll have an extended Q&A, and then finish up before, way before Isha inshallah. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.